Hi, it's your girl Danny Parks. Listen, if you are having any type of suicidal thoughts, if you're having any type of mental health crisis, I want you to dial the new suicide hotline 988. That's right, it's only three numbers and it's 988. You can call this or text it to be connected to a crisis counselor where they can help you through your situation in that moment. Once again, that number is 988, and that's it. All right, I'll see y'all later.
Esme, she's a queen. This is dedicated to all my beautiful queens, all my beautiful ladies out there. She's a queen. Go queen. You got it, girl. She's a queen. You better represent. Go queen. Go queen. Go. She's a queen about her business. Queen. Working hard on a mission.
Guys, for joining another episode of the Q Chat. Today, my very special guest is Dr. Kameika Hinson, and she is a grief coach, a minister, a medical laboratory scientist. She has a great platform about growing from grief. We're going to talk about a lot of things that affect women regarding grief and childcare loss and PCOS. But we're just going to have a great conversation. So how are you doing today?
I am excellent. I mean, I have a little bit of congestion going on, but I am excellent overall.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to speak with you, especially since you're dealing with your congestion. So thank you for taking the time to still speak with me. So I know that your platform is regarding growing from grief. And I know, I like with your platform, you're speaking about something that I think a lot of women have unfortunately experienced, but we may not discuss it a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's miscarriages and pregnancy loss. So I wanted to start off just by asking you, how did you decide with growing from grief? How did you decide to use your pain from that, your experience with that, to reach out to others? Like I said, a lot of people don't talk about it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I first experienced my miscarriage, I found that a lot of people that were around me did not necessarily understand what I was going through or had never experienced it. So I started going to counseling, and my counselor challenged me to find a support group. Oh my goodness, this support group was so hard to find. So I was like, you know what? I know that I'm not the only one that's out here grieving. So I decided to start my own support group. And it basically grew from there.
Wow. So I know, in backpedaling, you had a journey prior to that. I know, just reading with everything, that you had PCOS. A lot of women, especially women of color, I know, have PCOS, endometriosis, adenomyosis. I personally have adenomyosis. So I know, and oh my God, so many other things. I have fibroids, things like that. So I know that's a lot to deal with. For people who may be unfamiliar with it, can you discuss what PCOS is and how your experience has been with that?
Okay, so PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome, is where the egg follicles, they don't necessarily mature, so you don't ovulate. And I had the insulin resistance, so they need the insulin to grow. Mine was resistant to the insulin, so they didn't mature. I didn't ovulate. A lot of people experience facial hair, a lot of male hormones and stuff like that. I didn't experience that. My body was in menopausal mode. And the way that I found out that I had PCOS was because I was 419 pounds. Mm-hmm. And knew that I wanted to be a mother. So I was actively trying to get pregnant, and it wasn't happening. So I went to the doctor, and this is when a lot of people didn't really know what PCOS was.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that I went to the doctor, and he referred me to a fertility specialist. And that's when they diagnosed me with PCOS.
Oh, so you didn't know when you first initially were trying to conceive?
No.
Oh, wow, that's something else. So I know you did mention that you were at one point 419 pounds. So how was it losing the weight? And I know like after losing the weight is when you had your loss. How was the experience losing the weight? Because I know a lot of people, deal with weight, especially metabolism changes as we get older. Weight fluctuates up and down. And I know like weight is something that people struggle with. So how was that experience losing it?
Well, I I struggled because it seems like everything I tried, every diet I tried, everything would fail. I would just lose weight temporarily and then end up gaining more weight.
Yeah.
Then I found out that that's the effect that PCOS have on the body. So they told me in order to reverse PCOS, or at least have milder symptoms, I would need to lose weight. Well, I had already tried to lose weight. I'm struggling with that. I mean, you name a diet, I tried it. So ultimately, I was willing to do whatever it took to get my child, to have my baby. So I had weight loss surgery. Now, getting to the point of having weight loss surgery, this was like a 10-year span. My insurance, yes, I was very determined. My insurance did not cover it. I worked for a bariatric center of excellence. They still wouldn't cover it. I had to go in with the surgeons and talk to the board and all of that. All of that over 10 years.
Oh, wow. My goodness.
Yeah. So I finally I switched jobs, and I strategically sought jobs that covered bariatric surgery because I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I went in. That was the first thing. I don't think I was at this job for a year, and I had weight loss surgery.
Yeah.
And I started to lose the weight. It really did help me lose the weight and keep it off. And because I was 419 pounds, I've actually had like a new improved surgery. A lot of people have like gastric bypass on the sleeve. I had like what they call a combination. They used to do it way back in the day called duodenal switch. Well, I had the new revised one of that, and it helps keep the weight off.
So what exactly is that? Like what is that called again? And exactly what is the difference from the sleeve?
The duodenal switch. Basically what they do, they cut your stomach into the shape of a banana, like the sleeve, but they also reroute your intestines and make it shorter.
Wow. And how did you lose weight after that procedure?
Oh, it fell off.
Wow.
It fell off. But the side effects of that, there is malabsorption. There's a lot of malabsorption because the intestines are shortened, and that's where most of your nutrients are absorbed. But it keeps the weight off.
And just to get deeper for anyone that's not familiar with it, can you like describe what exactly is malabsorption?
Malabsorption is where your body does not absorb the vitamins and nutrients that it needs to actually be healthy. And so I'm supposed to take a vitamin every day. But the one I struggle with the most is iron. It doesn't matter if I take it, drink it, I cannot absorb it. So I have to do it through an infusion. Intravenously, yeah.
I'm familiar with that. I get iron infusions twice a year. So
Me too.
Yeah, like my iron is terrible. So I know like how that feels to just be the. Are you ready to join the new workforce solution? Currently, many people are working from home. Right now, during the pandemic and also the recession, many Americans are finding flexible ways to earn a living and support their family on their terms. Many name brand companies utilize customer service in order to thrive. Little did you know that a lot of those agents are sitting at home, just like you. Contact FlexPro today and learn more on how you can make money, earn a living, have flexibility, more time with your family on your own terms. So I know like how that feels to just be depleted like that. So I know with the miscarriage that you experienced, you're the president of Chasing Rainbows Grief Coaching Services. So again, I know we touched on it briefly on how you use that experience that you went through to cater to others, but let's get deeper into chasing rainbows. Because like I said, it's one thing to experience something. I'm definitely sorry for what you went through. But again, when someone experiences something and they decide to pour to other people, I think it takes special people to do that. So, what led to Chasing Rainbows Grief Coaching, and what are the different women that you service? Did this happen after the group that you formed on your own?
It did. It started out as a support group. I started out in my church, but I noticed that a lot of women they would say that they had a miscarriage, they would want to join, but they didn't want anyone to see them actually join the group. So I tried to make it like a support group on Facebook.
Okay.
And well, some people are on Facebook, some people are not.
Yeah.
But I didn't give up. So I decided, at first I started a nonprofit. Well, that takes money and support and donations.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so maybe I need to create a for-profit. And I created Chasing Rainbows Grief Coaching Services to support the women and help them take the steps that I took to grow from my grief, because I did not get over it. I'm still not over it. You don't get over it. You grow.
And how long ago did it happen?
I had a miscarriage on December 29th, 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And trust me, I get it. I've had 4 miscarriages. I have, children as well, but I miscarried a set of twins and I had other miscarriages. So I truly understand. And I do feel like with miscarriages, it is something that I feel like, even though it's very common, a lot of people just don't really talk about it. And I think too, I know in my situation, because I already had kids, I think some people felt like I shouldn't be affected, period, because I already had children. But I'm like, that's not even a factor, because there's a physical side to having an actual miscarriage that I don't think people are aware of. The actual physical act of miscarrying a pregnancy, that it's not a pleasant situation. So it's like, it's just very bizarre, I think, how people don't really talk about it much. And just kind of the lack of empathy, I guess sometimes, like, people just really don't understand, but like I said, I think people just think that you wake up one morning and you're not pregnant anymore. Like, no, like you're carrying, a life inside of you that's no longer there. Like, there's a process to, that pregnancy ending. So I think a lot of people don't understand that side alone is very traumatic.
It is. It is very traumatic. And you know what? I used to walk around angry, and that's actually how I started going to counseling, because I went there thinking I needed anger management.
Yeah.
when I was really just hurting because of some of the things that people would say. But I had to learn that it was because maybe they just didn't know.
Yeah.
And they don't know because people don't talk about it.
Exactly, right.
I had to get to that point. It was hard, but I did have to get to that point.
Right, right. And that's the thing, like I said, sometimes people they just simply don't know. I'm not necessarily excusing when people are clueless and may say insensitive things, but it's like people don't know. And then on the other end, everyone grieves and processes things differently. I know after one of my miscarriages, I went back for my checkup, and it was so weird because it's like everybody I was encountering, including one of the nurses at the hospital, she had a miscarriage, so she mentioned it. When I went back for my checkup, the nurse that day was like, "Oh, I want to give you a hug because I've had a miscarriage too." And I was like, "Nope, don't hug me because I'm gonna start crying." So I was just like,
Yeah.
because I was just like, I just didn't want to really deal with it at the time. So I was like, like I don't like want to hug because I would be sobbing in here. But I was just like, how many women am I gonna come across like at the doctor's office? I was just like, wait a minute, like I kind of don't want to bond with y'all at this very moment because it was so raw, so like I said, everyone handles things differently. So I think that's another thing. Because like you said, it's grief. So whenever you lose anyone, no matter what the circumstances, everyone definitely grieves differently. And there's different stages of grief too, as you mentioned, when you went through the anger period. So I also want to talk about a nonprofit that you do have, which is Jeremiah's Journey to Healing Ministries. So let's talk about that. And also, what is the association with grieving and loss?
Well, Jeremiah's Journey, I wanted to do like this grief box where I would have a copy of my book and like some things that women would need to during their grief period. And I would do fundraisers. I mean, people would support sometimes, sometimes they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really hard for me to get people to see the vision.
Mm.
Now, I think I'm gonna get back into that because it was really something that was very special to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, both of my businesses, their names have meaning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know whether I was having a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
But I did know that if it was a boy, his name would be Jeremiah. And if it was a girl, her name would be Journey. So that's how I came up with that name. I just decided to combine the names. Now, with Chasing Rainbows, the baby that's born after a miscarriage is considered to be the rainbow baby.
Right, right.
So I'm going to continue to chase my rainbow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I want to encourage other women to do that as well.
That's very beautiful. And speaking of chasing rainbows, do you think a lot of the resistance that you may have gotten is because some people carry a lot of shame with pregnancy loss or infertility?
Yes. Yes. And I am speaking from experience.
Yeah.
I dealt with the guilt, the shame, all of that. I felt less than a woman.
Yeah.
When I couldn't go through with my pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I felt like the one thing that I was put here on this earth by God to do, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that hurt.
Right, right. How, and I know like you went through counseling and everything, because I've had this discussion before. I think motherhood is just something that women, and I think it's unfair though, how like women, I think we're conditioned that our identity is wrapped into being a mother, because not everyone is a mother. Some people are not mothers by choice. Some people are not mothers because it's not their choice, and I just think it's unfair that our identities are wrapped up into motherhood because it factors in a lot of grief, even for women who are mothers. Am
It
I
does.
doing it right? Should I work? Should I stay at home? It's just so many layers in being a mother, and a lot of identity with women, of course, like I said, is wrapped up in being a mother. So when like your person has a desire to be a mother and they're not a mother yet, they get grief. Or like even when people are younger and they just don't have the desire to have children at the time, but they're being bombarded by people, why don't you have kids yet? As if something's wrong with them. So how were you able to work through that? Because like I said, I think a lot of guilt. Through that, because like I said, I think a lot of guilt and shame is put upon mothers no matter what. If you become a mother and you're not married, you got a set of people that have to deal with that. There's so many different factors in being a mother where there's some group that's gonna find something negative and make you feel ashamed no matter what your choice is to be a mother. So like how did you work through that?
Oh my goodness, my dog.
Oh, it's totally fine.
Well,
It's fine. And I saw on your IG, your dog is what, like your silent business partner. So it's completely fine.
he is.
It's totally fine.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the way that I work through it is because I basically had to change my mindset about how I viewed motherhood.
Yeah.
And I know that I still desire to become a mother, but I had to realize that me becoming a mother may not come in the form of me having an actual birthing a child.
Yeah.
And at this point in my life, I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I may have a surrogate. I may adopt a child. I don't know what God has in store for me, but I do know that He's going to give me the desires of my heart.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So one thing I want to ask you, it kind of ties into the last question. I do talk about self-love a lot. I feel like self-love is the fuel to just help us deal with our circumstances too. When we love ourselves, it's a form of acceptance, grief, loss, just accepting where we're at and not having that guilt or shame, because we know that there's other things that define us. So, how do you feel about self love? What role has self love played in this journey that you've gone through? Because, again, like I said, I feel like a lot of women, they experience that shame and that grief because motherhood, like I said, is a very complex role. Even when you mention adoption, some women go through issues with that where they may be judged and made to feel like they're not really a mother. So they didn't carry the child that they're being a mother to, which of course we know that's not true either. So what role has self-love played in your life through this journey right now that you're going through?
Oh my goodness, self-love has played such an important role. It is actually what the L stands for in my program. Guilt to Greatness. I have a Guilt to Greatness program where I teach on self-love because I had to learn to love myself again. And I had to learn to forgive myself so that I could love myself again.
Wow. And another thing I do want to ask you about is your book. So your book is entitled, I Lost My Baby and Now It's Time to Find My Mind. Again, we talked about self-love and just the mental health portion of it. What made you write the book? Was it hard to write the book though? Because I know like when authors are writing books regarding an experience that they've gone through, they're reliving it to a degree to put it on paper.
Yeah.
So how has that been, the process to put what you went through on paper? And also, again, what made you decide to even put your story on paper? Because I know, like I said, I'm sure it was a process to relive, to put this down. So what was your inspiration to write the book?
My inspiration to write the book was basically, I felt like that was my purpose. I felt like God gave me an assignment to do,
Mm.
and I had to fulfill it.
Yeah.
Now this book is actually my third book, but it's my first solo book.
Mm.
I wrote an anthology. I wrote 2 anthologies.
Mm.
The anthologies were much, it was so hard to put the pen to the paper.
Mm.
I mean, oh my goodness, just reliving that. I haven't even read the book. I can't read it. But this book, I'm proud of myself for this book, because I could actually put down the steps and know that when women read my book,
Mm-hmm.
they will be helped.
Yeah. Wow. That's something else. So before we end everything, what would you say to someone who may tune into this show, who they're dealing with infertility and they may not be at the stage where you're at now, and they're really suffering? Because I think a lot of times women, they suffer in silence when it comes to miscarriages, because I think sometimes, not in every situation, but I think sometimes I think people are kind of, with grieving too, I think people are just kind of pushed to move on. And I think also people are judged by the amount of time that they're grieving.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if it's 10 years, but some people, I feel, shame people even on their grieving process. If
They
you
do.
move on too quickly, to some people, like, well, why are you happy this quickly after this happened? Or why are you still sad? I just feel like sometimes people can't catch a break in their grieving process. So let's say someone is tuned in right now. Like I said, they're dealing with infertility, but they haven't reached the stage where you're at. They're dealing with a lot of grief and pain. What would you say to them to find their purpose, and to have some healing with their situation?
I would like to say that, first of all, you're not alone. The statistics for women experiencing pregnancy or infant loss is 1 in 4. That's 25%. You are not alone. People just don't talk about it. Your grief journey is your grief journey. Don't let anyone stop you or put their timeline on your grief.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it.
And if they need support, they can always reach out to me.
Mm-hmm. And how has your support system been? I know you formed your group, but how has your close-knit support system been through this?
Okay, honestly,
Mhm.
honestly, my support system has not been the best.
Mm.
It has not been the best.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because, I've even had someone to ask me, it was like, it was how many years ago, and you're still, just move on. And yeah.
Wow.
But I think the more that I put my message out there, the more that they see that I'm not going to let them stop me.
Right.
They are slowly coming around now.
Yeah. Because like I said, everybody's healing is different. And again, I think that's just grieving in general. People really will guilt shame someone in their grief process if they feel they're grieving too long, if they feel they haven't grieved long enough. And I feel like, again, grief and motherhood have so many naysayers that will criticize and guilt shame and gaslight how we grieve, or how, how we accept things, how we deal with our loss, and it's completely unfair. The good thing is, and I am sorry to hear that, but I do love how you're able to provide a vessel for other women, though, so that you guys can have your group and your community where you can feel loved and you don't have to deal with that.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Could you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it wasn't a question. I was just commending you for the fact that you went through that and you were able to form the group so that other women don't have to deal with that. That's a wonderful thing. So before we do end everything, though, tell everybody how they can reach out to you, how they can find you, because even though someone may not be, in what area are you located in?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, okay, I love Atlanta. So like, one, even though they may not be near Atlanta, they still may want to reach out just to ask you some advice. But tell everybody how they can connect with you on social media, how they can get information regarding your book, and how they can learn more.
Okay, so they can follow me on social media, Instagram at I am Dr. Coach Cam, or Chasing Rainbows GCS. And I can be found on Facebook also as Chasing Rainbows GCS.
Awesome.
To book a 15-minute discovery call with me, they can reach me at 15 minutes at chasingrainbowsgcs.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Hinson. I really do appreciate this conversation. And I also appreciate your transparency, because like I said, I think that this is a topic that a lot of people don't discuss for various reasons, and a lot could possibly be shame, or they may not have had the room in the past where they were given the floor to be open and honest regarding their pain or their grief, in fear of maybe the judgment that they may receive, which is very unfortunate. So I definitely do appreciate what you're doing. And I definitely do as well. Thank you for your conversation. I do think that what you're doing will definitely help plenty of women who need someone to talk to with this situation, for sure.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you. I definitely appreciated talking with you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Della must have did this beat.
Find your peace. The holiday season is here. Get excited. During the holiday season, we often stress ourselves out, become depleted, and forget about our health and well being, all in the name of giving. To ensure that you maintain your self care routine and stay connected to who you are during the holidays, here are 3 ways to maintain your self love practice. Step 1. Meditate in the car while on your way to purchase gifts for loved ones by being mindful of your thoughts and emotions. Step 2. Practice gratitude after purchasing a gift by being grateful for having the resources to purchase the gift and showing gratitude that you have the ability to bring a smile to the face of the receiver of your gift. Step 3. Affirm yourself. Take the time out to state self-love affirmations such as, I am loved. I am worthy of the same love I give to others. Or, I surround myself with those I love and those who love me. Did you know that one of the best compliments to receive from someone is, I love your energy? If you want to exude a loving and nurturing energy and feel good throughout the holiday season, gift yourself or a loved one with a self-love guide sponsored by Community Yoga. Self-love is the best love. You must love yourself first before you can love anyone else. Purchase your self-love guide today. If you're in the community and in the Atlanta area on November 13th at 12 p.m., grab your girls for a nice, relaxing Sunday and join Community Yoga for an Embracing Sisterhood Self-Care Wellness Yoga workshop. We will discuss what it truly means to love thyself with an open group discussion, experience an ancient Egyptian yoga flow accompanied with a gemstone oil essence to enhance your yoga experience. You'll have the opportunity to shop self-care beauty products from Essence Tree Life and enjoy light refreshments. This is an event you don't want to miss. Community Yoga is an ancient Egyptian holistic health company that focuses on bringing your mind, body, and spirit into alignment, one breath at a time. Email us at community.yoga@gmail.com for your health and wellness needs today. Community Yoga, where we redefine what it truly means to be healthy and well in a society that wants to keep you sick.